The galactic trade station, Orion's Gate, was never quiet. Ships arrived every minute. Cargo moved across shining metal floors. Strange smells from alien food mixed in the air. Voices from hundreds of species filled the giant hall. Some creatures were tall and thin with glowing skin. Others were small and covered in fur. Robots floated above the crowd. Security drones moved slowly along the ceiling. It was a normal day, until the lights flickered. At first, no one noticed. Stations often had small power shifts. But then it happened again and again. The bright white lights suddenly turned deep red. The loud crowd slowly went silent. Across the massive hall, every screen changed at the same time. Trading ads disappeared. Maps vanished. News feeds cut off. Only one symbol remained. A black circle, cracked through the center, like something had tried to tear reality apart. A cold wave moved through the hall. No one needed to read the warning. Everyone knew that symbol. The Void Reaper. A name spoken only in whispers. A being older than most space empires. A creature that did not conquer. It erased. 12 worlds were gone because of it. Not damaged, not defeated. Gone. No survivors, no ruins, no signals. Just silence. A soft alarm began to echo through the station. Security officers reached for their weapons. Their hands were shaking. One guard tried to speak into his communicator, but no words came out. The massive entrance doors at the end of the hall slowly unlocked. The sound of heavy metal gears turning echoed across the chamber. Step. The doors opened a few inches. Step. The gap widened. Step. Each footstep was slow, heavy, calm, like it had all the time in the universe. When the Void Reaper entered, the air felt heavier. It was tall, almost 3 meters high. Its black armor looked alive, like it was moving slightly, breathing. Thin blue lines glowed across its body, like cold lightning trapped under metal. Its face had no mouth, only 2 pale blue lights where eyes should be. It did not rush, it did not roar. It simply walked forward, and everyone moved back. A mother from the Jalari species pulled her child close and covered his eyes. A 4-armed war general, known for winning 7 planetary battles, slowly lowered his head. A famous bounty hunter, who once hunted space pirates alone, quietly dropped his plasma rifle. Clang! The sound echoed loudly in the silence. No one picked it up. No one dared. The Void Reaper reached the center of the hall. It stopped. The red lights reflected off its armor. No one moved. No one breathed. Everyone waited for the killing to begin. Then, a sound broke the silence. A laugh. Not nervous, not afraid. A real laugh. Light, almost amused. Heads turned slowly toward the edge of the hall. Near a small trading table, sitting in a simple metal chair, was a human. He leaned back casually, boots resting on the table, a drink in his hand. He was smiling, laughing softly like he had just heard a joke. The station commander stared in shock. "Is he insane?" someone whispered. The human wiped a tear of laughter from his eye. Then he looked directly at the Void Reaper. The Reaper slowly turned its glowing blue gaze toward him. The pressure in the room grew even heavier. For the first time since it entered, something unexpected had happened. Someone was not afraid, and that had never happened before.
The entire galaxy held its breath, because the human was still laughing.
The human's name was Elias Ward. Some in the station recognized the name. Most did not. He was not famous across the galaxy, but on Earth he had a history. Former soldier, former deep space explorer, survivor of 3 alien border wars, born on a planet classified as a Level 9 death world. Earth. A world with strong gravity, violent oceans, deadly animals, extreme weather, and constant natural disasters. A world where life survived not because it was safe, but because it refused to die. Elias sat calmly in his chair, as if he were in a quiet bar, not standing in front of the most feared killer in existence. He lifted his metal cup and took a slow sip. His hand did not shake. His breathing stayed steady. "You're smaller than I expected," he said in a relaxed voice. The words echoed loudly in the silent hall. Gasps spread through the crowd. A tall insect-like merchant nearly fainted. The security guard had already backed away, but Elias simply smiled wider. "Yeah," he said calmly, "we shake." He leaned forward slightly. "Then we adapt." The words were simple, but something in his voice felt strong, certain. The Void Reaper extended one of its arms. The limb changed shape. Armor shifted and opened. A long, curved blade formed from black metal and glowing energy. It hummed with power. Several beings screamed. A small alien child began to cry loudly. The Reaper raised the blade. It pointed directly at Elias. The air felt frozen. Everyone expected the human to run, to beg, to fall to his knees. But Elias did not move, not even a step. He did not reach for a weapon. He did not prepare to dodge. He just sat there, looking at the galaxy's greatest killer. And then he laughed again. Not loudly, not wildly, just a small, honest laugh, like he truly found this situation funny. The sound echoed across the hall. The Void Reaper paused. Its blade stopped mid-air. For the first time in thousands of years, it hesitated. The creature had studied fear across countless species. It knew the smell of terror. It understood panic. It fed on it. But this human, there was no fear in him, only amusement, only curiosity. The glowing blue eyes narrowed slightly. "Why?" the Reaper asked. This time the voice was quieter, almost confused. Elias slowly stood up from his chair. Now the height difference was clear. The Reaper was massive. Elias was small in comparison, but somehow the human did not look smaller. He stretched his neck slightly and looked up at the monster. "Because," Elias said calmly, "you walked into the wrong species." The entire station went silent again, and for the first time, the Void Reaper felt something unfamiliar: uncertainty.
The Void Reaper moved. It did not warn. It did not count down. It attacked. To most eyes, it disappeared. 1 second, it stood still. The next second, its blade was already swinging toward Elias's neck. The speed was impossible. Even trained soldiers could not track the movement. A shockwave burst through the air as the blade cut forward, and then it stopped. The sound of metal grinding filled the hall. The blade had been blocked, but no one saw how. Elias was no longer where he had been standing. In less than a blink, he had stepped inside the Reaper's reach. His hand gripped the creature's arm at a weak angle. His other hand pushed against the blade's flat side. His boots slid slightly across the metal floor, but he held.
The hall exploded in whispers. He moved. That speed. It's impossible. Elias twisted his body sharply. The blade was forced sideways. Before the Reaper could react, Elias drove his fist forward. He punched the creature directly in the center of its chest armor. The impact sounded like thunder inside the station. A deep, heavy boom echoed off the walls. The Void Reaper staggered backward, 1 step, 2 steps. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the Void Reaper stepped back. A being that had destroyed 12 worlds had just been pushed back by 1 human fist. Murmurs spread through the frozen crowd. How? What kind of human is that? Is he enhanced? The station's central AI activated automatically. Blue scanning lights swept over Elias. Data filled the holographic screens above. Species, human. Origin, planet Earth. Classification, extreme deathworld. Gravity level, 1.3 standard galactic units. Native environment, high tectonic activity, violent storms, toxic wildlife, apex predators common. Survival probability for most species, 3%. Whispers grew louder. That planet would kill us in hours. How are they alive? The AI continued. Human muscular density, above galactic average. Bone strength, reinforced from high gravity adaptation. Pain tolerance, exceptionally high. Psychological response to threat, adaptive aggression. Elias rolled his shoulders slowly, as if warming up for exercise. His face showed no stress, no panic, only focus. On Earth, children grew up running from storms, climbing dangerous mountains, swimming in deep oceans filled with predators. Humans did not grow in safety, they grew in challenge. Every animal on their world fought to survive, and humans fought harder. Fear did not stop them. Fear trained them. Fear sharpened them. The Void Reaper straightened its posture. Its glowing blue eyes flickered. "You are different," it said. This time the voice was weaker, less certain. Elias cracked his knuckles calmly. "You picked the wrong hunting ground," he replied. The Reaper studied him carefully now. It adjusted its stance, analyzed his breathing, measured his movement. But something was wrong. The human was not acting like prey. He was not defensive. He was not desperate. He looked ready, prepared, comfortable. Elias gave a small smirk. "No," he said simply, "I'm normal." The words were quiet, but they carried weight. Because if this human was normal, then what was the rest of his species like? Around the hall, aliens slowly understood something terrifying. The Void Reaper had hunted weak worlds, soft civilizations, species that evolved in peace. But Earth was not peaceful. Earth was violent. And it had shaped something even more dangerous than a galactic killer. It had shaped humanity. And for the first time, the hunter was facing something built by a harsher world than itself.
The Void Reaper changed. Its armor opened slightly. Blue energy began to pour from the cracks like fire made of lightning. The air vibrated. The red emergency lights shattered one by one. Glass panels exploded. Walls cracked under invisible pressure. Aliens screamed and ran for cover. Some hid behind broken market stalls. Others dragged injured friends away. The station commander shouted orders, but no one listened. This was beyond soldiers, beyond weapons. This was survival. The Reaper lifted both arms. Energy formed around its body like a storm. It was no longer holding back. It had decided to end this. The floor beneath it melted from the heat. A wave of force blasted outward. And Elias stepped forward. Not back, forward.
His boots slammed against the metal floor. His eyes stayed locked on the creature. The Reaper attacked with full speed. Blades formed from both arms. They struck again and again, fast, precise, deadly. But Elias moved like he had seen it before. He ducked under the first strike, twisted past the second, slid between the third and fourth. Each movement was small, controlled, efficient. He was not stronger than the Reaper. He was not bigger, but he was thinking, watching, learning. The Reaper fought with power, with dominance, with fear, but Elias fought with patience. Every strike from the creature became slightly slower, not in speed, but in surprise, because Elias was reading it. The Reaper swung wide. Elias allowed the edge of the blade to graze his shoulder. A thin line of blood appeared. Gasps filled the hall. The Reaper sensed weakness. It lunged forward harder, more aggressive, more confident. That was the mistake. Elias had let it think it was winning. He stepped back again, just enough. The Reaper charged. Energy flared brighter than before. But as it moved, Elias noticed something. Under its chest armor, behind layers of black metal, a small blue light pulsed. Not decoration, not random, a rhythm, a core, power source, weak point. The Reaper raised both blades for a final strike. It brought them down with full force. Elias did not block. He stepped inside the attack, inside the danger. He grabbed one arm, used its own force to pull the creature forward, and with his other hand, he drove his fist directly into the glowing core. One precise strike. A sharp cracking sound split the air. The blue light flickered wildly, then shattered. Energy exploded outward in a burst of white light. The black armor cracked like broken glass. Pieces fell to the floor. The Void Reaper stumbled. Its legs trembled. Then it dropped to one knee. The entire hall went silent again. Smoke rose from its damaged chest. Its glowing eyes dimmed. For the first time in centuries, the Void Reaper felt something new. Fear. Not confusion, not anger. Fear. Elias stood in front of it, breathing steadily. Blood from his shoulder dripped slowly to the floor. He leaned closer to the massive being. His voice was calm, quiet. "You hunt the weak," he said. The Reaper tried to stand. It could not. "You should have hunted smarter." Elias stepped back once, then delivered one final powerful strike to the broken core. The blue light vanished completely. The armor went dark. The giant body fell forward, heavy, still, silent. The Void Reaper, destroyer of 12 worlds, lay defeated at the feet of one human. And this time, it was not the galaxy trembling. It was the hunter. The hall remained silent. Smoke still floated in the air. Broken glass covered the floor. Emergency lights flickered weakly above. In the center of the station lay the body of the Void Reaper, the being that had erased 12 worlds, the creature that made entire star systems surrender without a fight. Now it was motionless, dark, defeated, and standing over it was one human, Elias Ward. He was breathing calmly, not fast, not tired, just steady. A thin line of blood still marked his shoulder, but he did not seem to care. He looked down at the fallen monster for a few seconds, making sure it would not rise again. Then he stepped away, slowly, casually,
as if the fight had only been a small interruption to his day. He walked back to his table, picked up his metal cup, noticed it was still half full. He raised it slightly, took a long, relaxed sip. The sound of swallowing seemed louder than the battle had been. Hundreds of alien eyes watched him. No one spoke. No one understood what they had just seen. Finally, Elias looked around at the shocked faces, at the broken walls, at the damaged security drones. He gave a small smile. "You guys really need better security," he said calmly. For a moment, no one reacted. Then, a short, nervous laugh came from somewhere in the crowd. Another followed. Soon, quiet laughter spread through the hall. Not because it was funny, but because the fear was breaking. The nightmare was over. The station commander slowly stepped forward. He looked at the body of the Void Reaper, then at Elias. You defeated it," he said quietly. Elias shrugged. "It bleeds like anything else." The simple words hit harder than any speech. Across the galaxy, emergency signals had already been sent. News ships were recording. Drones were transmitting. Within minutes, the story spread. The Void Reaper destroyed. Not by an army, not by a fleet, by a single human. On distant worlds, leaders watched the footage in silence. Military generals replayed the fight again and again. Scientists paused at the moment Elias stepped forward instead of back. Instead of fear, there was confidence. Instead of panic, there was calculation. For years, humans had been seen as new arrivals, soft traders, emotional diplomats, physically average compared to stronger species. But now the truth was clear. Humans were not soft. They were survivors of a violent world. A planet where storms could destroy cities, where oceans swallowed ships, where predators hunted in every forest, where even the ground could shake without warning. Earth did not protect its children. It tested them, and humanity had passed every test. The galaxy began to understand something important. Fear controls many species, but humans grew up with fear. They faced it daily. They learned from it. They mastered it. Days later, a new question spread across star systems. It was whispered in pirate ships, discussed in royal courts, shared in military war rooms. When something dark appeared in deep space, when a monster entered a system, when a threat walked into a station, aliens no longer asked, "How do we run?" They asked, "Is there a human nearby?" Because if there was, then maybe they would survive. And if you were the monster, then you should pray there wasn't. The galaxy had trembled at the killer, but the killer had learned something terrifying. Humans do not freeze when death arrives. Sometimes they laugh.